Monetize your business assets with Dr. Liddy. Dr. Liddy is a renowned world-class attorney. She has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, USA Today, and the New York Law Journal for her work to protect small businesses and small investors. She presented a TEDx talk in London on what the original purpose of corporations was to do public good and what went wrong. Dr. Liddy has a BA from Columbia University, MBA from New York University, JD from Fordham University, and a PhD from University of Barcelona. Corporate executives hire Dr. Liddy to train employees to be more legally mindful in their employment transactions. The United Nations hired Dr. Liddy to instruct small to medium-sized enterprises across the globe on the laws that impact their businesses. Dr. Liddy has spoken at business, law, and tax conferences, from Amsterdam to Bogota, to Cape Town to Los Angeles to Paris to New York, to Barcelona to Miami to Warsaw to Costa Rica to Germany. Dr. Liddy designs legal structures and financial systems for entrepreneurs who are frustrated and disappointed that their business has not been as profitable and successful as they expected. By teaching entrepreneurs how to use the leverage of law, taxes, insurance, and estate planning, entrepreneurs can be 10 times more profitable and successful so that they can build wealth and create a legacy to pass on to their families.
I am so excited today to have the pleasure of spending some time with this amazing man. And some of you might know him. And this is Michael Nelms, and he is the CEO and owner of Keep Trucking Transportation. And one of the things I want you to know about Michael straight from the beginning is that he is a dad. He's a Howard man, whoop, whoop, whoop on that. And he does a lot of trucking and logistics services. Now, I don't know what that is. So I'm going to spend time talking to Michael about what is this logistics service thing he's got going on. But one of Michael's passions is mentorship, right? And he teaches his mentees how to really be successful in the trucking business. So as you guys know, I'm from New York City. I would see trucks go by. I'm like, whoa, where is this mega thing that's moving really fast down a New York City street going? So hopefully Michael can help us understand the business. And then I'm going to ask Michael, just so you guys always know, what's the legal hidden issues so we can avoid them in our own business. So Michael, welcome to the show, and tell me, how did you get started in trucking?
Oh, awesome. Thanks for having me. Again, I'm Mike Nelms, CEO of Keep Trucking Transportation. Of course, I'm a father first and foremost, Howard University graduate, dual degree, who specialize in leasing on both owners as well as owner operators in this trucking industry.
So how'd you get started in trucking? I mean, did you wake up one day and say, I'm going to be going to the trucking industry?
Absolutely not. So I was previously a owner of a medical firm, and we would handle medical billing and coding, accounts receivables. And I had a guy come to my office one day. He was interviewing for a position, and then we just kind of started talking off the record. And he said, "Hey, since you are a serial entrepreneur, have you ever thought about the trucking industry?" And I said, "Absolutely not." Right. And so he called me weeks later. He said, "Hey, did you ever think about what I spoke on? I want to come to your office." So we sat down and we talked for a little bit. And after that conversation, believe it or not, I went out and bought a truck. I went out and bought a box truck. I knew nothing about it. I mean, I was so blown on how intricate it was, but I didn't realize that until after I bought this truck. And it sat in front of my collection medical firm for about 2-3 months. And I says, okay, I got to figure out how to move this truck. It was a box truck. And so I kind of learned, the ins and outs, a little bit of the legal aspect of owning a trucking company. And then from there, we kind of just learned how to grow that company. I figured if I could run a medical firm and I can grow that, right, then I can do the same thing with trucking. And it did. It grew very fast.
So there were some transferable skills, and this is good for folks that are in one industry and want to get into another industry. So what were some of the skills that you had learned in the medical billing that you saw really work nicely within the trucking industry?
So contracts, that was first. I realized, you know what? When I first got into trucking, I didn't have those contracts in place, nor did I realize the value of them. And then hold on, let me take some of the verbiage from my medical firm and let me kind of relate that to trucking. Staffing. I knew that obviously the only way to grow a business, you got to have staff. You got to be able to have some solid man hours in place. So what I did was I transitioned my medical firm. I used that same staff and I taught them the trucking. So they would work half the day in medical to keep that business afloat. And then we started transitioning to trucking. So they would just work 4 hours here and then 4 hours on trucking. So that's
Oh,
how we,
wow.
right? Just using that business sense. And I figured if you can manage one company,
You
they're
can
all
manage another.
right. The profit, but the way that you deliver it is all the same. So I just kind of blend both companies.
So you did the, as we call it in the Caribbean, because everyone in the Caribbean is mixed, no matter what they say, no matter what they look like. We call that the melange, right? That's the mixing, right? That's going on. So you did the melange business mixing. I love that. So tell me, what has been some really cool things that have happened for you in the trucking business that you were like, listen, guys, you got to get into this because.
Okay, so again, going back to the medical collections, there's only like one or two ways to kind of make money in most businesses, right? Especially when you have a product. But in trucking, we started to figure out different ways to make more money. So we were able to develop more streams of income and just different in trucking. So right now, I think we're up to like 8 different streams of income.
Whoa. You have 8? Okay, you're gonna have to share some of those. You can't be like, we've got 8 different streams of income and I'm not gonna ask the question. Okay, share, don't give all your secret sauce, but just 2 or 3.
So we, let's see, just recently we established a rooftop mixer where we actually felt like it was a way for us to bring different people, different walks of life in trucking and put them under one roof. And then we also coupled that with funding. So people had the ability to purchase these tickets, get on the rooftop, instead of paying for consultations with people like myself. I put a lot of us under one roof and everybody can kind of go and, like they always say, let me pick your brain. So, whatever that they asked, we were going to answer them on right there at the rooftop. And so that was amazing because obviously the ticket sales and then the funding, we were able to funnel those ticket sales and funding back to leasing on to our company, which means that if you have a truck and trailer, and instead of running under your own motor carrier number or Department of Transportation number, you can then attach yourself or align yourself with our company and we'll run it for you. So it's just pretty much showing people the right way. Obviously, we have a mentorship program as well and consultation. So just kind of giving that educational piece and then that with, hey, this is how you buy a truck. This is the type of truck you should buy. And then we're going to run it for you. So I think that's kind of like the way I jumped into trucking, and I said the only business I want to have from here on out because there's always something changing.
Always something changes. So you like the spark that you feel when there's something new, right, to be done within the business. I love that. I love that. Yep. So for people that are thinking to themselves, right, that sounds good, Michael, but what are the things that you wish never happened, right, to you in the trucking business? Like, oh my God, if I could have avoided this, right? What are some of those?
Okay, so that's a gift and a curse because the things that I wish I could avoid it, I was able to at some point figure out a solution and overcome it. And so now I sell those solutions, right? And that's how we were able to mentor people and to offer that mentorship. Contracts, again, that was probably one of the biggest flaws that I didn't realize. Drivers need contracts. The owners need contracts. If they're an owner operator who actually owns the equipment and drive it, there's a different type of contract. There's contracts people trying to lease on. And I know that's probably one of the biggest things that we have to overcome is what goes in this contract. How do we protect ourselves with this contract? I think that was probably one of the biggest things. Learning how to seek the right resources. If it's cheaper tires, or if it's an excellent mechanic, right? Or if it's creating those relationships with those brokers and customers so that we can get more freight and better rates. And of course, when we first started, we didn't have those resources, so we obviously didn't, but we do now, and so we're able to cultivate those relationships and then we're looking to lease on it.
Right. So you've mentioned contracts to me at least 3 times.
Right.
So as a business lawyer, we do contracts. What did you find was challenging, right, for you in the beginning and may still be challenging now with regard to the contracts? What are the sticky, gooey parts that you've discovered that contract drafting, negotiating, or enforcing, right? What are the pearls that you've learned about the contracting process?
All right. Well, first of all, the reason why I keep saying contracts because I know what you do. And I know So the fact that, that this
I
expert
love it.
added into the conversation, um, just being fair, right? Because
Mm,
I lead with a big heart, so we want to make sure that we're always being fair. But in contracts and in truth, it's really to protect the business. And
mm,
that I learned is that, yeah, sometimes I don't want to put it in the contract, but then I look back at it and I say, well, if I had this in a contract 6, 7 years ago or 8 years ago, I would not have had to go through certain things.
right,
And so we're able to use those contracts to be fair, but make sure we protect the company when it comes to the drivers, how they exit the company, if they return the truck in the same condition or not. Like, how are we compensated by the negligence of the driver? And at
right,
the same time, how is the driver compensated and protected by our company? So just to learn
right.
that equal balance of being fair,
Mm-hmm.
but always having in mind that you got to protect yourself first.
Right,
That
right.
part.
That's really important. I think most people go into contracting hoping and praying it's all going to work out. And
Right.
I tell folks, let's assume it doesn't. Let's start right now, although it's our intention that it works, but let's draft it, right, that it doesn't work out. What do we do to
Right.
disentangle ourselves nicely,
Right.
fairly, but do the backslide in terms of all.
No,
So I love that you're thinking about it the
yeah,
way
yeah,
that you do.
right. That was the hardest part. It's like, man, I'm protecting myself, but like, is it going to offend the person who's reading this contract?
Right.
And as the years went on, I said, well, it shouldn't offend them if they do the right thing. That's what the contract is in place. Is in case you don't do the right thing. So I always speak about that, but it does protect the company. So I know that there's a lot of people in trucking, specifically trucking, that has been around for a while, but they don't have any contracts. And exactly. And I know some who says, I don't have any contracts for my drivers. And I'm like, you don't have any contracts, right? So it's so important that I realize more
Yeah.
often than not, and you'd be surprised, but there's a lot of people in this industry that just don't have a contract.
So my super brain, and super heart simultaneously are saying I should get with Michael and let's do something for the folks that don't have contracts. And we're going to make it simple, straightforward. It's going to be helpful. You and I think together on this contract issue, because my key in becoming a lawyer, most people know my story, is that people aren't always good to us.
Right.
So the contracts become a rise in its power when people are not good to us. If people are good to us, there's a reason to even look at it, but it's when they're not, and you never know people's end intention. As I say, the beginning intention is, it's like dating, right? And then it's like the end intention. What does that look like? So let's talk, right? Go, soon about putting something together, because I want our folks to be protected. I want them to feel comfortable. I
Right.
want them to also understand that they have the power to write things, that they can create things with their pen. And we often don't realize that at all. So let's definitely talk offline about putting that together for for everyone, but specifically for those that are feeling that they're not heard, that they are not comfortable in the work that they're doing. Let's change that atmosphere for them. So let me ask you this. In the many, many years that you've been in this industry, what are some, I know contracts comes up, but what are some legal stuff that have come up that was not contract related? And how did you manage to deal with it?
Well, everybody's audited. I know when I first
Oh,
started
yeah.
many moons ago, those audits came very fast, right? And they hit you hard. Of course, they're so detailed that if you don't know how to get around this audit or audit or what they're looking for, you will not pass it. Because
Wow.
post-pandemic, of course, everybody's so far behind. There's people that's been in this industry a year and hasn't had their audit. Usually, it's like the first 90 days. And
Mm.
so I remember sitting down with the guy, I've already had businesses, so my paperwork is squared and good to go. And he got there, and about 8 hours later, he was just writing me, and he said, "Yeah, you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right."
What
So
did you say? 8 hours
8 hours
later?
later, doing my first audit, and I'm sitting here like some of the stuff I didn't know what it was. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, first started. And it was kind of like on a whim, and that audit came so fast. I'm like, I didn't know half the stuff he was asking for. And so, but again, the gift and the curse is that I know now. And so we're able to teach it. We're able to teach it in our dispatch training classes that we have. We're able to teach it in our mentorship program, just to explain, the different federal filings. There's like 8 of them, your IFTA, your IRP, your UCR, BOC3. And so we had to learn them and then learn how to apply for them. So, so I think that was kind of big too. Other than contracts, that was something that was so major, because a lot of people, even now, they don't know all the federal filings, keep up with them. So we had to obviously hire a compliance team and just kind of let them deal with that paperwork. Just learning that, yeah, you can learn it, but in business, to me, it feels like it's always best to pay somebody who's an expert. Like, I can write a contract, but I know I can't write one as well as you can, right? So it's always best just to pay someone who specializes in that department. So I always tell everybody, when you get in the trucking industry, you should definitely hire a compliance team. It's not expensive. That's going to help you with your contracts. Kind of have that legal advice from. And those are the 2 things that I think a lot of people don't invest in. Well, a few things. The education. Right. A lot of people don't invest in mentorship. I say it a lot, and I always tell people, because I provide mentorship and it's so important, I always say you don't have to take mentorship from me, but in this industry, you must take the mentorship program from someone who is experienced and skilled in it, because it's the easiest business to get into, and it's the easiest business to get kicked out of.
Wow.
It really is. You can start off getting a CDL for free. There's companies like Swift, I believe JB Hunt. You can start off dispatching, which doesn't cost much to start off dispatching. But if you don't have a mentor, it's going to be very difficult for you to stay afloat and or scale in this.
And I find, to your point, that most people don't look towards mentorship in any industry, to be honest with you. They think that they could read and learn, or they can ask a question here or there. But the truth of it is, people that do well, I mean, really do well, big business, right? Or big people, right? They have mentors. That's why they're doing so well.
And I always say that. I was just posting on, I believe, Instagram, and I was just saying, like, mentors have mentors. And if you have a mentor and they don't have a mentor, then you probably need to get you another one. It's important that, because there's always something to learn. It's always a challenge. It's always, and typically your mentor should be guiding you, teaching you, and then challenging you to get to the. So it's important to have one.
Right. And one of the things that I want to do with you and for the people that you're helping is to, perhaps we can do together some, I call them legal shorts, right? Just 2-3 minutes. Hey, did you know? Let's do this. And that kind of as a trigger for them. Okay, let me pay attention to this, because Michael said this, and then Dr. Liddy said, here's our legal short together. And I find, I've been doing these for a couple of years, and I find that if you do, and I call it legal shorts, but if it's sort of a short reminder of, did you know, sort of thing, that it really helps people, not just in their business, but also in their lives. So you and I should get together and do some legal shorts in the trucking, just 2 or 3 minutes. Hey. And I think that'll help change for folks. Not only that they stay in business, but that they're successful, right, in it as well. So I always ask folks, and I'll put it in the show notes, I just want you to think about it for now, something that we can give those that are watching and those that are saying, oh, I like what Michael is saying, and how do I get a hold of Michael? In the show notes, I'm going to put your profile, your contact information. But if you could share with me, what would be a good gift that people trying to enter or in the business would appreciate, what would that be?
When I first started doing a lot of Instagram, a lot of social media, I was on a podcast and I gave away free consultation. Now, let me pause.
Don't do that. No, don't do that. No.
Consultations, right? So a lot of times when I go to events and I speak, I always tell people, hey, if you get my DM and you got a few questions, go ahead and ask them, and I'll make sure that I respond myself. It's not quite a consultation. Those are usually $300 for every 30 minutes.
Right.
But if you got a couple quick questions, I will personally respond to that DM. And I think that's a good way to give back, and it's helpful because a lot of times people just need that 1 or 2 questions asked to make that decision if they're going to get into trucking or not. And then those questions, they may ask about dispatching, and I may tell them a little bit about how to get that trailer rental. We do that as well. We teach people how to buy trailers. We obviously provide the contract for them. We find the carriers for them, and it's just a way. It's like real estate. It's like real estate on wheels. You know, it's an easy way to make that earn that residual every month from that trailer rental. We can set it up for them. So,
right. And do you help them with the insurance as well?
yep, we explain to them what type of insurance they need. We got a couple of brokers that we do use. If it's just for the truck, for the trailer. Now the truck is a little bit more information that you need to get that rolling. We can help them with that as well.
Right. I really love what you've shared with the audience, and you and I hope we'll get together and really work on doing some integrative stuff that could really, really bring value. So if there was one thought you would want to leave with folks as we head out, what would be that one thought that you would like to share with everyone?
One thought, you know what, people always ask me, how do I stay so motivated? Like what, my purpose, like my purpose is my daughter, Madison Nelms. She's an excellent kid. And I realized that once she was born, my life changed, right? And so I had dedicated everything that I did to her, right? And even now, so you got to find that one purpose, like that why. Find your why and let that push you, because any business, I don't care what it is difficult. You're going to learn on the fly for the most part. There's going to be some wins and losses. Trucking is a very difficult industry to sustain without a mentor. But you're gonna have those days where you just don't feel like keep trucking, and you gotta find a reason. You gotta find a why, and just do it. You know, don't put off what you can accomplish today. You know, everybody said, well, I'm gonna, take the I'm gonna out, take the I'm gonna try, and just do it. Just invest in yourself, invest in the education behind whatever business that you want to open. If it's trucking, find your mentor, take you some classes, but just do it.
I love that. That's the best advice. It truly is, just doing it. And Michael, I couldn't have said it better better than you in terms of doing it and finding a mentor. I think that's the crucial element that most people just don't realize that they need, because somehow we think we can do it ourselves or we know enough and blah, blah, blah. And it's just not true. So Michael, thank you. I want to have you back on the show. Right. And I hope you want to come back. Right. And then maybe your little daughter can come. That would be awesome. Women in trucking. Right. That'll be start them off young, right, into the trucking business. But I want to thank you so much. And we're going to connect soon. I'll connect with you, because in the show notes, I want people to be able to get a hold of you, all the stuff that you talked about. And you're just a superpower and amazing brother. And I thank you for spending the time with me today. Thank you.